While packing my mother's old things, I came across a box of letters from my grandmother addressed to me. And I realized my mom had kept them hidden all these years, robbing me of the only chance to know the woman who loved me more than anyone else. I was 28 and married to Sarah for 3 years when I found those letters. 3 years of what I thought was the perfect marriage, 3 years of her trusting me completely, 3 years before I'd all away for a woman whose name I can barely say out loud anymore. The affair started 6 months before I found the letters. Rebecca from accounting, cliché as, I know. It began with coffee runs and late nights at the office, innocent enough until it wasn't. Sarah was working double shifts at the hospital, saving lives while I was destroying ours. The first kiss happened in my car after a company happy hour. I told it was just stress relief, that Sarah would never know, that I deserved some excitement. I was packing Mom's house after a sudden heart when I found the shoebox in her closet. Dusty, forgotten, shoved behind her winter coats. Inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to me in my grandmother's careful handwriting. Letters dated from when I was 5 until she died when I was 16. 11 years of correspondence I never knew existed. The first letter I opened was from my 8th birthday. My dearest grandson, I hope this letter finds well and happy. I think of every day and wonder if we're still collecting those baseball cards. My hands shook as I read. Grandma Rose had written to me every month for over a decade. Every birthday, every holiday, every major milestone. Letters full of love, advice, stories about our family history, wanted to teach me places she wanted to take me. My phone buzzed. Rebecca texting about meeting later. I stared at the message, then at the letters scattered around me. Here was evidence of a love so pure and constant, while I was living a lie so it made my stomach turn. The second letter I read was from when I was 12. Mother tells me made the honor roll again. I'm so proud of sweetheart. I know isn't easy right now with parents' divorce, but remember that our love beyond measure. I'm saving to visit for Christmas. We'll make cookies together like we used to. Christmas when I was 12. I remembered being devastated that Grandma Rose didn't come. Mom said she was too sick to travel. I cried to sleep that Christmas Eve, feeling abandoned and forgotten. Now I knew the truth. Grandma had wanted to come. She'd been planning to come. I called my mother's lawyer, my hands shaking with rage. Why would she keep these from me? The lawyer sighed, clearly uncomfortable. Mother left specific instructions about those letters. She said understand when we're ready. Ready for what? To learn that the one person who might have unconditionally loved me had been crying out to me for years, while my mother played gatekeeper. The third letter broke me completely. It was from my 13th birthday. I know probably think I've forgotten about, but I could never forget my precious boy. I write these letters hoping that someday they'll reach. Mother and I have had our differences, but my love for transcends all of that. Please know that somewhere. Grandmother is thinking of and praying for happiness every single day. I was sobbing in my dead mother's closet, surrounded by proof that I'd been robbed of the most important relationship of my childhood, when Rebecca called. Where are? Said be at the hotel by now. I can't do this anymore, I whispered into the phone. What do you mean? Did Sarah find out? The casualness in her tone made me sick. Sarah beautiful, trusting Sarah who worked 16-hour shifts to pay for my mother's medical bills. Sarah who held me when I cried about losing Mom. Sarah who deserved so much better than the lying piece of garbage she'd married. No, she doesn't know. But I'm done. We're done. Rebecca laughed. Come on, don't be dramatic. Upset about Mom. We don't have to meet tonight if we're not in the mood. Not in the mood. Like cheating on my wife was a hobby I could take or leave depending on my emotional state. I hung and kept reading. Letter after letter revealed a grandmother desperate to connect with me. She'd sent photos I never saw, gifts that never reached me, invitations to visit that were apparently declined on my behalf. In one letter from when I was 14, she wrote about starting dialysis but insisted she wasn't telling me to worry me, just to explain why her handwriting might be shaky. She was dying, and she was apologizing for her handwriting being shaky. The final letter was dated 2 weeks before she passed away. My dearest boy. If we're reading this, then perhaps Mother finally decided to share my words with. I don't know why she chose to keep us apart, but I hope can forgive an old woman for not fighting harder. I love more than the stars love the night sky. Be good, be kind, and remember that carry the best of our family in heart. I called Sarah from my mother's kitchen floor, surrounded by the evidence of a love I'd lost and about to confess to a betrayal that would cost me the love I still had. Sarah, I need to tell something. I've been having an affair. The silence on the other end of the phone stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. When Sarah finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. What did just say? I was still sitting on my mother's kitchen floor, grandmother's letters scattered around me like pieces of a broken heart I'd never get to mend. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, devastated by a betrayal of love, about to inflict the same kind of damage on the woman who'd stood by me through everything. Rebecca from my office. It's been going on for 6 months. The words felt like swallowing glass. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Her voice cracked. 6 months. While I was working double shifts to help pay for Mother's care, while I was planning our anniversary trip, she started crying, and the sound destroyed what was left of my soul. This was Sarah, who'd never anyone in her. Sarah who'd held my hand through my mother's final days. Sarah who'd trusted me completely while I was betraying that trust in the worst possible way. Are in love with her, she'd asked through her tears. No. God no. It was just, I don't know what it was. Her voice turned sharp. Don't dare make this about self-loathing. Made a choice. Made that choice every single day for 6 months. She was right. I'd had hundreds of opportunities to stop. To come clean, to choose my marriage over my pathetic need for validation. Instead I'd chosen to sneak around, lie to her face, and make her feel crazy when she asked why I was working so late so often. I'm coming home, I said. We need to talk face to face. No. The firmness in her voice surprised me. I don't want to see right now. I don't want to see right all. I'm going to stay at my sister's tonight. We'll figure out what happens next later. Sarah, please. Let me explain. Explain what? How? Decided our marriage wasn't enough. She was crying again. I gave everything, Marcus. Everything. And it away for what? Some excitement. Some variety. I wanted to tell her about the letters, about feeling lost and angry and confused, about how none of that excused what I'd done but maybe helped explain the headspace I'd been in. But that would just sound like more excuses, more ways to make this about my pain instead of hers. I said instead. I love more than anything. No, don't. Her voice was getting steadier, colder. Don't destroy what love. Don't betray what love. Don't lie to what love for 6 months straight. The line went dead. I sat there holding my phone, surrounded by my grandmother's letters, in my dead mother's house, having just confessed to destroying my marriage. 3 generations of women who'd loved me, and I'd lost them all, one to her own bitter choices, and one to my own devastating selfishness. The next few days were a blur of horror. Sarah came home while I was at work and packed her things. She left her wedding ring on the kitchen counter with a note. I need time to think. Don't contact me unless it's through a lawyer. I tried calling her sister, but she hung on me. Sarah's parents, who'd welcomed me into their family like a son, wouldn't take my calls either. Her father finally texted me, broke our daughter's heart. Stay away from our family. Work became unbearable. Rebecca tried to talk to me, but I couldn't even look at her without feeling sick. The excitement, the thrill, the validation I thought I was getting from her now felt like in my veins. I requested a transfer to a different department, but word had gotten out somehow. Office affairs always do. People looked at me differently. The guys who used to joke around with me kept their distance. The women in the office, especially the married ones, looked at me like I was diseased. Which, I guess I was. Infidelity is a sickness and I was patient zero of my own moral epidemic. Sarah's best friend Emma cornered me in the parking lot one evening. She's not eating, Emma said without preamble. She's lost 12 pounds in 2 weeks. She cries herself to sleep every night. She loved more than her own, and destroyed her. I know, I said. I know I did. I for it. Emma spat. Should do have any idea what've done to her. She questions everything now. Every memory, every moment too shared. She wonders if it was real or if we're thinking about Rebecca. She'll never trust anyone the same way again. Congratulations, Marcus. Didn't just cheat on wife. Broke her ability to believe in love. I tried to write Sarah letters, like the ones my grandmother had written to me. Letters full of apology, regret, love, and desperate hope for forgiveness. But every time I started writing, I'd remember how my mother had kept my grandmother's letters from me, and I'd realize that maybe sometimes love means respecting someone's need for space. Even when it's 2 months after my confession, Sarah finally agreed to meet me for coffee. She looked thin and tired but also stronger somehow. More distant, like she'd built walls around her heart that I'd never be able to scale again. I want a divorce, she said before I could even sit down. Sarah, please, can't we try counseling? Can't we? I already filed the papers. I'll be served next week. She slid an envelope across the table. That's everything need to know about how this is going to work. I made a mistake, I said, my voice breaking. One horrible mistake, but it doesn't erase 3 years of marriage, 7 years together. It doesn't erase how much I love. She looked at me with eyes that used to shine when they saw me, eyes that now held nothing but exhaustion and disgust. It wasn't one mistake, Marcus. It was hundreds of them. Every time texted her, every time met her, every time came home and kissed me after being with her. Every time lied to my face about where it'd been, every time made love to me while thinking about her. Hundreds and hundreds of choices to keep betraying me, but she was right, and I had no defense. I'm moving back to Portland, she continued. My old hospital offered me a position. I'm going home to heal and I'm doing it as far away from as possible. Next month. She stood. Don't try to stop me. Don't try to contact me. And Marcus, I hope whatever got from her was worth losing everything else. She walked away, and I knew it was the last time I'd ever see her. The last time I'd be in the same room as the woman I'd loved and lost through my own selfishness and stupidity. That was 3 years ago. Sarah remarried last month. I know because her sister posted wedding photos on Facebook before remembering to block me. For about 30 seconds, I saw her in a white dress, smiling at some guy in a navy suit, looking happier than I'd seen her in the final months of our marriage, radiant. Free. I closed my laptop and the divorce was finalized 8 months after she left. She got the house, most of our savings, and my dignity. I got to keep my grandmother's letters and the crushing weight of knowing I'd destroyed the best thing in my for absolutely nothing. Rebecca quit 2 weeks after Sarah left me, got a job across town. I heard through office gossip that she'd started dating someone new within a month of our affair ending. Apparently, she told people I was too clingy, and made everything too dramatic. The woman I'd risked everything for called me clingy for having a conscience. I moved into a studio apartment near work. Spent my evenings reading my grandmother's letters, and trying to imagine what might have been like if my mother hadn't hidden them, if I'd grown knowing I was unconditionally loved by someone. Would I have been more secure, less likely to seek validation from other women, less likely to sabotage the good things in my... But that's just more excuse making. Plenty of people have traumatic childhoods and don't cheat on their spouses. My mother's choices didn't force me to make the choices I made. I'm responsible for my own moral failures. I started therapy, but quit after 3 months when the therapist suggested I was processing grief, and needed to forgive. I didn't want to process anything. I didn't want to forgive. I wanted to sit in the consequences of my actions and feel every bit of the pain I'd earned. Work became my entire existence. I into projects, stayed late every night, volunteered for weekend assignments. Not because I was passionate about the job, but because it was the only time I wasn't thinking about what I'd lost. My few remaining friends eventually stopped inviting me places. I was terrible company, bitter and angry and wallowing. Fair enough. Who wants to out with someone who destroyed his own and won't shut about it? Last Christmas, Sarah's mom sent me a card. Just a generic holiday card, but she'd written a note inside. Marcus, I hope we're well. We don't, but we can't have in our lives anymore. Sarah's happy now. Please let that be enough. It wasn't enough, but it was something. Knowing she was happy felt like the first good thing that had happened in 2 years. I dated a few women, but it always ended the same way. Either I'd tell them about my past and watch their opinion of me change, or I'd keep it secret and feel like I was lying again. Trust, it turns out, works both ways. I couldn't trust to be faithful, and no one could trust me to be honest about my history. One woman, Michelle, actually gave me a chance after I told her about the affair. She said everyone deserves a second chance, that people can change. We dated for 4 months. I was faithful, honest, present, but I was also paranoid and insecure. I'd check her phone when she wasn't looking. I'd get jealous when she talked to male colleagues. I'd become the kind of suspicious, untrusting person I'd forced Sarah to become. Michelle finally broke with me after I accused her of flirting with a waiter during dinner. Or not ready to be in a relationship, she said. Don't trust me, and more importantly, don't trust. Figure out how to live with what did before try to love someone else. She was right. How to love someone new when know exactly how capable are of destroying that love. How to ask someone to trust when have proof they're untrustworthy. I'm 31 now. I live alone, work alone, eat alone. I've read my grandmother's letters so many times I have them memorized. I know she would be disappointed in the man I became, but I also know she would have loved me anyway. That kind of unconditional love exists, I've seen proof of it, but I weigh my chance to experience it with Sarah. Sometimes I drive by our old house. Sarah sold it after the divorce, but I know the new owners. They have 2 kids and a dog. The husband works in IT, the wife is a teacher. Normal people living a normal in the house where I used to be happy. The cherry tree Sarah planted in our backyard bloomed this spring. I could see it from the street, pink and full and beautiful. She'll never see it bloom again, but it's still there, still growing, still beautiful despite being left behind. I think about reaching out to her sometimes, especially on her birthday or our anniversary. Just to say I'm sorry again, that I think about her every day, that I hope she's happy. But then I remember what her sister said about how my betrayal broke her ability to believe in love, and I realized that my apologies would just be another selfish act. She deserves to heal without me picking at her wounds. Last month, I was cleaning out a closet and found our wedding album. I sat on my bathroom floor and looked through every picture, remembering how perfect that day had felt, how certain I was that we'd grow old together. There's one photo of us during our first dance, and Sarah is laughing at something I whispered in her ear. She looks so young, so trusting, so completely in love with a man who would betray that love 6 years later. I the album away. Sarah has new wedding photos now, new reasons to smile, a new man who hopefully understands what he has and won't be enough to throw it away for nothing. People ask me sometimes if I've learned from my mistakes, if I'm a better person now. The honest answer is that I don't know if I'm better. I'm more aware of my capacity for selfishness and betrayal, which maybe makes me safer to be around. But I'm also bitter and alone and angry at in ways that probably make me worse company than I was before. What I do know is that actions have consequences and some consequences never end. Sarah remarried, but she'll probably always have trust issues. I'll probably always live with the knowledge that I'm capable of destroying what I love most. My grandmother's letters taught me that love can endure anything except being rejected. I rejected Sarah's love, and it died. The worst part isn't the loneliness or the regret or the shame. The worst part is knowing that somewhere out there, the woman I loved more than anything is building it with someone else, because I wasn't strong enough to choose her when it mattered. I keep my grandmother's letters in a box next to my bed now. Not hidden like my mother kept them, but right out in the open where I can see them every day. They remind me that real love exists, that some people are capable of loving without conditions or expectations, that I had that kind of love once and destroyed it. Some mistakes can recover from. Some mistakes teach lessons that make stronger. And some mistakes carry forever as a warning to anyone who thinks they can have it all without losing everything that actually matters. Every morning I wake in my empty apartment. And every morning I remember that I chose this loneliness over the woman who would have loved me until the day I died.